How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. Tonight, we're doing another podcast panel titled Cosplaying Over 40, and I'm joined here by Brian, AJ, and Ben. Lionel, introducing yourself, starting with Brian.
Yep. Hello. My name is Brian Montejano, also known as Luna Stardust from Nightingale Studios. 48 as of just a few days ago. So on the high
Happy
side.
late birthday.
Yeah, thanks. But been cosplaying since '89. As a fan, semi-professionally for about 10 years, and real seriously the past 5. But yeah, it's a blast. Never too old ever.
And this is
I could start today and I'd be all right.
And this is Brian's second appearance on this podcast series.
Yep. Oh, it's always a blast.
AJ?
Hello, my name is AJ Dunn. I am 41 and I am a cosplay noob. And I am looking forward to like a dozen more and recruiting my little sister.
Nice. Well, glad to have you here, and sure we'll be learning a lot from both Brian and Ben. And last but not least, Ben Huggins is also here.
Hi, yeah, I'm Ben Huggins, as he just said, 48 years old as well. That seems to be quite common at the moment. Been cosplaying since, good Lord, late 1980s, early 1990s, way before it was cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
back before
took a while.
Back when you used to get bullied for it,
and before it was even called cosplay.
It wasn't even cosplay. It was dress up back then, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean cosplay wasn't coined till like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Absolutely.
So yeah, basically, we're gonna be talking to a bunch of these cosplayers who are over 40 and getting their experiences, whether they've been doing it for a long time, or if they just started or are considering on wanting to get into it. So, Brian, what has it been like being a cosplayer over 40?
For me, not much different than it was prior to that, but the landscape has really changed. So looking at it from multiple angles, it's been really endearing to see more and more people get into it as seriously as they have, that it's been more accepted. I mean, some of the stuff we've even talked about before, that you don't have to hide it. It's not just for 1 or 2 people per convention or hired gigs. You can walk in and stuff. So it's been a blast, and it also comes with a varying degree of frustration, because I'm sure Ben will agree with me. It's like, okay, I had to use chicken wire. I had to go steal kids' toys, not steal kids' toys, but sometimes do that.
Why is that guy stealing those? Why is that guy stealing that
because
toy?
that's the one thing that they made for some of little army helmets, or chest pieces for medieval stuff, or go to Toys R Us and stuff. Availability of materials has made a world of difference. YouTube's just impacted everything, but it's great to see that much more exposure and people of a certain age still doing it, just getting into it, and then exposing it for it being as acceptable as it is. So the feeling's been the same. That fan and fanatic line thing for me has kind of, that gauge or O-meter kind of varies so often, but I haven't had any real issues, and it's great to encourage kids. Like I said, the acceptance level, but the frustration thing has just been, man, you guys don't know how lucky you are to have this stuff off the shelf. I mean, they've even got like specific cosplay sections at like Hobby Lobby and Joann's and crap. And yeah. It's like, I mean, and then to hear the term professional cosplayer outside of working specifically for like EC Comics or DC or Marvel or some of the movie studios from like back in the day to now, it's a thing. You can actually do it through Exchangeogram or YouTube and stuff. It's like, wow. So yeah, it's awesome. It is really cool. I just wish I was younger to benefit it that much longer. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I get it. I mean, back when you and Ben cosplayed, there was no such thing as a professional cosplayer. There was just, other
than just being a studio hand or somebody that worked for one of the big companies, and that was it. I think
absolutely.
There was like one guy that they were paying when Ghostbusters came out that ended up, you don't know who I'm talking about, Ben, even it was on one of the documentaries, but he was like a guy that they'd pay to go to malls and stuff as an appearance.
Oh yeah.
He was, yeah. And then I think they had the one Spider-Man suit and a Captain America for the Marvel appearances in New York, but that's what I'm talking about. It's just like a guy for all these big things.
I remember being, God, I think I was probably about 14, 15 when I'll, being, obviously you can tell by the accent, I'm not an American. So we kind of took a little while to catch up. But I remember when we had our first 7-Eleven opened up, which was like this big deal. It's like, oh my God, we've got this American store in London now. And, there was the dude in the obligatory, Darth Vader costume opening 7-Eleven. And I was blown away and almost hooked at it at that point. He's like, this is amazing. I'm standing here with Darth Vader. This like 7 foot tall, whoever the hell they, got to hire for it. But yeah, no, like you were saying about the off-the-shelf toys as well. I mean, I started out modifying those. Remember the old Star Trek Playmates toys?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Get, the little tricorder and the phase and all that kind of stuff. I actually still own a few of those. But yeah, now everybody's so spoiled. Like you said, you can go into any store and it's like the Ken of this, and the new Proton Pack that's coming out from the Hasbro lab, which I've been coveting so hard. That stuff just wasn't available. You went to the craft store, you bought wood, you bought foam, you bought plumbing supplies for your lightsabers that weren't quite what you wanted.
Nope, but they work tailpipes for sinks and stuff. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Oh yeah, no, my first lightsaber was a sink down tube.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the tailpipes.
Yeah, exactly that.
Piece,
and a cap in the end of it, and you just screw in things to it and drill in holes in it. And I mean, it was obnoxious, but it scratched that itch,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I had told Wayne my first Ghostbusters outfit was in 6th grade. So what was it? The year after it came out. Or actually maybe that same year. I don't know. I'm old. I forget stuff. But anyway, it was
it gets worse.
It was a cardboard box with a backpack in it that I had, put holes in for the straps. And then it was just like aquarium tubing. I think there might've been corks and shit in there. And then a paper roll tube with the foil on the outside. And it was built on the body of an old M16 toy gun that I had and stuff. Cause it's just what you had available.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You told me that during your first cosplayer
interview. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like,
and
a while back.
Yeah, that's what it was. So like I said, that kind of, not necessarily nostalgia goggles, but that 2020 vision of a much clearer past for us starting off with like, what the hell are you even talking about?
Oh yeah.
Or just a rare occasion that you see somebody in an event or a promo thing to where within nanoseconds, you can find any hundreds of people that do this stuff just every day.
Oh yeah, and eBay's a lifesaver now. I mean, I mean, we got to, the young people here that are listening, because of us old farts, we were around, we were around way before the internet. We were there before eBay. We were there before, Etsy. We were, there before any of this. It really was just, I mean, crikey, for some of the stuff I used to build, I mean, I'd sit there with my VCR and the pause button. You couldn't go look for, you couldn't look for pictures of things online. It didn't exist. This is
magazines.
Yeah, that was it.
It was black and white newspaper articles, anything you could get your hands on for reference. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. Sitting there replaying the same scene again and again and again and taking notes, then going, right, okay, this thing is probably made of cardboard on the movie set, but I got to figure out how to make this thing. And you've got 0 point of reference, so your measurements are going to be a little bit off. You build something, you try it on, it doesn't quite look right, so you modify it and change it. I mean, there was a lot more involved. Like now, I mean, you can go on Thingiverse and pick up a file of something and just download it and print it and go, oh yeah, I've got some Greeblies. It was a whole different ball game back then.
Yeah. Now AJ, what is it like being a cosplayer over 40 and just starting out to cosplay?
Well, got kids that like to tell me that I'm too old.
Yeah, you're never too old.
I'm too old to cosplay. A lot of the characters that are cosplayed, like I've watched so many videos of cosplay conventions, and some of the characters I recognize from my youth is like Star Wars and Ghostbusters, but then there's, they're combining anime cosplay into a lot of the conventions, and most of the anime characters that are being cosplayed are young characters, and that's probably where my kids are coming from when they say that I'm too old to cosplay, because I can't quite pull off the young look of an anime character.
No, I've seen people in their 40s and 30s cosplay characters, like this mom who's like in her late 30s, she cosplays with her kids and she cosplays like anime characters from like shows from today. So it does, doesn't matter how old you are, you should be able to cosplay whoever you want.
Right. And with the makeup that you can get, I've been watching some makeup videos, and it is outstanding what a person can do with the makeup, and it just completely changes everything you imagine about cosplaying, about, you know, Halloween used to be my favorite holiday because you could be anyone or anything. But the stuff that we had back then as kids was just like plastic, lightweight. You might as well be wearing a garbage bag, right?
Well, I think I did on a couple occasions.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Yeah.
And nowadays, the things that they have, and like Etsy is just booming with things that you can get, and it's
It's
just
not cheap though.
right. It's so expansive. Like, I am really looking forward to doing a Ninetales Kitsune, and I was looking on Etsy for the Ninetales tail prosthetic.
From Naruto or Pokemon?
Actually, the Ninetales Kitsune, there's actually a number of different animes that the Ninetales Kitsune is actually shown up in. And the one that I'm wanting to do is actually Genji from Hotel for the Spirits or something like that. I can't even remember how to say it in Japanese, but it's
Never heard of it.
Genji.
Actually.
Yeah.
Genji was this really adorable Ninetales spirit who had 3 different forms, absolutely adorable. And I intend to make everything that I can, from the Hakame to, I've already got the wig. I'm just going to have to order the Ninetales aesthetic.
You mean this character right here?
I'm not seeing, let me see.
I typed in
Oh,
Genji
yes,
Ninetales.
that is him.
Yeah,
And
from
yes.
Kakuryo no Yodomeshi.
Yes. I remember it as the Hotel or for the Spirits, and I absolutely love that anime. It's absolutely beautiful, and that character is so sweet. I cannot wait
Bed
to.
and okay, I have to look that up now. Bed and breakfast for spirits.
Yes,
cool.
it was kind
Kakuryo.
of a
Oh,
short one, but it was really awesome.
Okay, I've heard of this anime. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
Oh,
That'd be
you
pretty
gotta
cool.
watch it. That one was really, really good.
I mean, that'd be
But-
pretty interesting to see you do like the Ninetales and cosplay as Genji.
Oh yeah, like I already have an OC, which is actually a feline version of the Ninetales fox. But yes, I absolutely love the Ninetales thought, and I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Nice. Would this be your very first cosplay, or have you cosplayed before?
My very first cosplay, I have already got the entire costume ready. I just haven't had a chance to put it on and do the makeup and everything. But actually, I am doing Charmy Pappetson from from Black Clover. And
Ooh.
I think I've already kind of created a theme for the kind of characters I like to do, because Charmy Pappetson is a total glutton. She can eat and eat and eat, but if she gets mad, she burns off all of those calories. And she's absolutely amazing. I love her to death. And I already have all of her stuff right down to her grimoires.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking at her right now. This again, I'll probably be showing a bigger picture, but this is her, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
that
nice.
is her.
Okay.
That is her in her I'm cute and adorable phase.
And then
not
this is
her
and then
ugly
this
phase.
and then this is her other one.
Oh yes, and that is her when she is eating her fair share, and then when she gets mad, she grows into her full size, and her demeanor changes quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah, she's amazing, and I'm really looking forward to dressing up as her.
Very nice. I'll be going back to Brian here shortly. Ben, what is it like being a cosplayer over 40?
Oh wow, that's a weird question. It's exactly the same as it was when I was young. I think, like I said before, it's just easier. I mean, you're only as old as you feel anyway. I mean, I started out, like I said, back in the late 80s. I'm going to really be weird here. I did the whole Star Trek Next Generation thing because, you know, Forbidden Planet, the store came out and they started doing the off the rack, you know, the next generation shirts, you know, with the pips and all that kind of good stuff,
Yeah.
and then the Playmates toys. And so that was literally when it was starting to become available. And there was a bar called Page's Bar in North London, which was Star Trek themed. It had like a 20-foot Enterprise coming through the ceiling. And we all used to kind of go there on a Friday night and hang out and drink beer and just get kind of stupid, dressed up as, you know, captains and ensigns and Data and all that kind of stuff.
No red shirts, just on the floor, passed out.
Well, I mean, you have to wear your red shirt if you knew you were going to get absolutely hammered. That way, you know. And of course, everybody wanted to be, you know, Patrick Stewart, or everybody wanted to be Data. So there were not really all those many red shirts. But now, like, you know, like we were saying before, it's easier and it's so much more accessible. And, you know, I'm only as old as I feel. You know, I'm 48 going on 12.
Yeah.
Get it heart.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of grief sometimes. I mean, I was, you know, every now and then you get people going like, "Hey, old guy," and it's just kind of look down your nose at them. But you know, it's fun and it's rejuvenating, and I kind of feel like I found it's keeping me young. Let's put it that way. You know, there's something about dress up. You know, as AJ was saying, you know, Halloween's my favorite time of the year. You get to be someone else. It's almost like losing yourself in a book. You know, you get to be somewhere else doing something else. It definitely helps you deal with the kind of the daily stresses. Yeah, it's expensive. You know, I was considering switching cosplay for crack because I think it's cheaper.
Probably.
But you know, at this point, you know, it's just fun, and it's also the one thing that I never anticipated from doing this when I was very young is, you know, now I've got 4 children. And I know I get to do it with them as well. And I love watching my kids get excited. You know, I love cosplaying with my kids for Halloween. I love, you know, going to the Comic Cons with them and dressing up. And it's just a really awesome bonding experience. And I get a lot more joy from their joy as well. You know, it's this whole different experience.
Nice.
You know, it's great. But the essence is exactly the same. I don't feel any different doing it. I don't walk around every day waking, you know, getting out of bed going, "Hey man, I'm 48, what shall I do today?" No, maybe I'll get some sensible shoes and some corduroy pants and a cardigan, but that's just not going to happen. You know, I'm gonna wear my Deadpool t-shirt, I'm gonna put on my Batman high tops, and I'm just gonna have fun with it, because that's just who I am. You don't really think about the age.
No,
You know, everybody else does. You know, especially when I'm kind of surrounded by a whole bunch of like 16-year-olds, and it's like, oh good lord, I feel like I'm babysitting a little bit. But you know, apart from that, it's exactly the same. I love the fact that I'm employed, because I've got a lot more money to do this than I did when I was.
You have adult money. You can buy things with your adult money. Once
Yeah,
you pay your adult responsibilities, then whatever you have left, you can buy for the kid. You know.
Oh yeah, but I'm terrible at it, man. That's the problem. You know, I get my adult paycheck and then I buy stupid things, like I just bought a beauty reveal lightsaber. You know, it's like, oh good lord, that was a week's wages. Okay, well, I like it. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. As long as it makes you happy, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking at what
absolutely.
1, 2, like 5 of them right in front of me. So I understand.
I mean, looking at my collection here is like, yeah.
Yeah, I have a game room and I have display cabinets, and I've got, you know, I've got life-size, full-size Indiana Jones costume. I've got Freddy Krueger on a mannequin. I've got a Ghostbuster on a mannequin, Darth Vader on a mannequin.
Nice.
Multiple display cabinets. I've got like, you know, the Book of the Dead.
Which wait, which one? The Book of the Dead from the Mummy, or the Book of the Dead from Evil Dead?
Oh, Evil Dead. Oh, all the way.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, it's the new Trick or Treat one. You know, but the other thing I do is I always take my props and I always modify them and kind of improve them a little bit. You know, I'll always find a little tweak, which I'm very guilty of. But yeah, multiple lightsabers, all the Indiana Jones stuff, Holy Grail, Golden Idol, Staff of Raya headpiece, and then you go on to the next display cabinet and it's just more stuff, more garbage. You know, it's an expensive habit at my age.
No, I mean, no matter how old you are, you know, if you're younger and you have your parents' help, like I've talked to some other people on here who are like my age or like a little bit older, and they'll have like their parents' help, you know, getting stuff for the cosplay. But you know, if you're like someone like me or Brian or you or AJ, like, yeah, you have to do that yourself, and then you realize, oh wow, yeah, that's I spent that much on like one piece of a cosplay, and it's like I
Oh
still
yeah,
have
no,
more to go.
it was ridiculous. It was like when I built my Ghostbusters Proton Pack, I wanted to go authentic. So I actually found out that there's little valves on there, and they're from pneumatic machinery. I forgot what they call them. And just tracing a box of those down on eBay was a relentless task. It's
Oh, I
like,
believe it.
and then somebody's
Because
like,
they were
"Hey, I've got
kit
3 of
bashing.
these." Oh
They
yeah,
used what they had on hand.
yeah,
Who
that's
knows what the
exactly
hell
it.
most of it was,
Yeah, some of the parts on my Proton Pack are original, and I got hold of a company, and they're like, I found out who made it. I buy the books, I buy like the visual dictionaries, that kind of stuff, because that helps.
Sure.
But then they're like, yeah, man, I got 3 of these valves. I need 2 of them for my Proton Pack, and they're like, yeah, they're $75 a piece.
Yeah.
And it's like, good Lord, really?
Because they're probably the
I
last
mean,
3 in existence, right?
pretty much.
I really
yeah,
can't. I really.
I mean,
I
at least
really-
it's not. At least it's not a Gillette razor communicator from episode 1. That thing was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
No.
A lady. That was a lady razor.
Yeah, that was
yeah, I mean,
terrible.
I really can't say anything because I have a cosplay prop that I have yet to use yet, and I spent like 80 bucks on it. I know Brian will appreciate this, but 80 bucks for
Oh yeah, the Omniblade, yeah.
for Shepard's Omniblade for Mass Effect. 80 bucks for this thing, and it's for when I decide to do either Shepard's casual leather jacket or his full-on N7 armor. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I
but
think
I think
There's an
someone of my-
example right there of what Ben and I are talking about. All right. If I wanted to do that at your age or younger, you know how many different things I would probably be rating my mom's Tupperware for anything that was remotely
I
semi-transparent.
mean, this
like
is
that.
this is like a that's like a plexiglass material.
Well, sure, that you can vacuum form in a shop vacuum former because all that shit's readily available.
but like back in the day, you would have to like go in
Oh.
like a shed, the trash, find anything resembling.
that's what I'm saying.
The color and the material.
Yep.
And then get yourself an X-Acto knife or whatever
And be
You're-
piecing it together in angles and stuff. But that's what I'm saying, but it's awesome that stuff's available. It's great. It's just that, like Ben had said too, it's so widely available. And because of that, it's a lot more accepted and stuff. So it's a double-edged sword. It doesn't really change, like he said, the essence of it doesn't for me either. That's what I'm saying. Same situation across the board. But there is that tinge of jealousy. There is that tinge of frustration. It's like, man, you guys have no idea how much
I mean,
all
it
this
is-
stuff is.
I will say it's nice to see cosplayers who are under the age of 40 or like my age where they'll still do stuff like by hand.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like using a bunch of technology and all this equipment to make your cosplay, but like you and Ben, you back in the day, you like had to like rummage through a bunch of miscellaneous stuff just to find like the one piece for your Proton Pack or that one piece for the trigger on your Proton.
I've still got totes full of just miscellaneous bits and pieces and stuff for that very reason, and if I need to, I can cast and mold and cast replicas
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a whole garage full of just greeblies and things that I've collected over the years. I mean, I still hand fabricate a lot of my stuff.
Yeah.
It's all well and good scratching the itch with an off the shelf, but there's also something about I love building things anyway. I was into model kits as a kid. I was always building the little AT-ATs and the little TIE fighters and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, it's the same as building a model kit, just bigger.
Mhm.
Oh, no, I agree.
My Darth Vader, as I was saying before, that thing was just made out of Sintra PVC, Carbondo, spot putty. I went to Joanne Fabrics and I bought 5 yards of fabric to sew the capes. I learned to sew, got a sewing machine. I really put that work into it. But now you can buy like the Darth Vader Supreme for like $1,000 online.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still try to do that as much as possible now, because I think that's kind of part of the love as well. It's not just the collecting and it's not just the cosplaying, it's the creation of something as well.
That's why I still
hardly.
love working with EVA foam,
Oh, yeah.
repainting Nerfs, adding all kinds of stuff to those and everything, making, space guns and whatever.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
XPS foam I don't know if you've ever worked with that or done it much with carving like sword blades and stuff out of XPS. There's something about hand to carving because it's not quite like wood, but I'm totally with you. The hand fabrication as opposed to having a CNC cutter or a laser cut or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's a very rewarding feeling even if it's like a yardstick katana or something like that, but hand the stuff. And I still draw that way. I have multiple tablets, but I refuse to use them. I'm sketch pad and a pencil, and maybe I'll scan it afterwards. But yeah, I'm totally with you on that. With a few exceptions. I mean, the printer's nice to be able to get shit that I could never get done, or do it for other people. Helmets are a big one that's just easier, just to I don't have to worry about it, and then I'll finish it by hand afterwards.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There was I think it was the Darth Vader Supreme helmet. That thing comes out the box and it's absolutely awful. It's it's advertised as made from studio molds, and you get this awful plastic thing. The eyes are wrong, the lenses are wrong, the grill's wrong. So it's like, okay, it's a really nice starting point, but it's like, right, I'm going to cut this bit off, I'm going to repaint this bit, I'm going to reline that, I'm going to take this part out. I mean, my Darth Vader's got vacuum cleaner foam inside his grill.
Yeah.
Sunglass lenses that I pulled out and popped in new ones and trimmed and shaped. And I mean, crikey, even the neck bit at the back of the head on the Darth Vader, that's missing on the Supreme helmet.
Really?
And that's there's no back piece. They put it in the Black series, which is actually pretty cool. It's just a little undersized. But the original Rubies Supreme Vader helmet, first off, it's enormous. This thing is a bucket.
I've seen the Rubies. I've seen the Rubies helmet for like $70-$80 on Amazon.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's a good start.
I've seen some mixed reviews on that thing.
It's vacuum formed plastic and it's cheap, but it is made off the studio molds, so it does have the imperfection in his grill, in his face, where it's all lopsided on one side because during production the fiberglass got hot and it warped. But that's been recreated, so that's a nice little touch that is very difficult to do on your own.
Sure.
But you really just have to strip that thing down. You have to cut things off, repaint it, and then it's actually pretty decent. But again, that's what I was saying before, with the old props like the Playmates toys, you take them, you have your base, you strip them right down, you rebuild them, and you make them your own. My Star Trek phaser's got real LEDs in it now. It's all been repainted. It's night and day from the Playmates toy.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm waffling.
Nice.
I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah, you're fine. AJ,
No, it's funny. Oh, I was gonna say, it's funny you mentioned that with the Vader helmet. I have the original two-piece Don Post Vader helmet and his Stormtrooper that I could not stand the looks of, and I didn't touch the Vader. I just left it. But the problem was with some of those Wayne though too, that were back in the day, they were casts off of potential stunt helmets. They were casts over and not in. So like in the case of Stormtrooper, the lenses pop out instead of in like they're supposed to.
Right.
Because they would just recast, and then a recast of a recast, it's like a copy of a copy of a copy. They get shittier the farther they go down the line. And they were selling that stuff. But us kids were like, oh, I'm rabid, I'm buying all this. And then you realize it's like, this isn't right. This doesn't look the same. And then when they started releasing, like you were saying with the Star Trek stuff, most of that was as close of a facsimile or proximity to the real thing as you could, but they were not very good.
Oh no, they were cheap. They were cheap and awful. I mean, the original.
But I bought them.
Yeah, that's where all my money went, man. I've been broke most of my life because of my really expensive habit. So.
Yeah. Oh, and I play Warhammer too, so that's another one that you do. Oh.
Yeah. AJ, have you ever I guess now we're on the topic of what it's like building. Have you ever made anything for your cosplays, like by hand or bought and remade?
Well, in terms of that, I actually just got some patterns. My sister agreed to let me dress her up. She wants to start her first cosplay. I mean, this is somebody who was raised up very, very, very Christian. She was never allowed to do Halloween or anything like that by her mom. And we're sisters by in-laws. So we didn't grow up the same way. She wasn't allowed to trick or treat. She wasn't allowed to dress up. So she told me that she would be willing to dress up as Joan of Arc. So
Joan of Arc, like the historical figure?
Like the historical figure. So I figured that would be a good thing to get her dressed up as something that she would feel comfortable dressing up as.
And that's a pretty good first cosplay to do too.
Right. And so I've already got, her pattern and everything and how I'm going to do it. But then I started talking to her about a pirate that I am really head over for. I'm absolutely obsessed right now with the pirate Queen Anne Bonny from the golden era of piracy. And so
Ooh.
I'm actually going to cosplay her because she was also the inspiration behind an anime character by the name of Jewelry Bonnie from the anime One Piece. So, and then I found out she's also in a video game alongside her best friend, Mary Reed, aka Mark Reed. And so my sister has agreed to pirate up with me. And
Nice.
so I am gearing up to turn my sister into Joan of Arc and then turn her into a pirate. So I'm
Nice.
super excited about that. And I did, in fact, actually make a costume. I made my very first attempt at making a Japanese kimono, which turned out to be an epic fail. But when you start once and you mess up, you know where you went wrong and you can just do it again. So I know where I went wrong. I know how to make it better the next time. And I'm really looking forward to these upcoming cosplay events.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now there's a topic someone brought up that I should mention about when you're like older cosplayers, how some older cosplayers may not know how cosplay has changed over the years. I guess starting with you, Ben, what are some new things you've noticed now that really wasn't a thing back then, like cosplay safety, how you need to respect cosplayers if they say no, cosplay is not consent. Was cosplay not the whole cosplay not consent thing, was that a thing back then when you first started?
Well, I don't think that was really a problem. I've never ever been around any situation where anybody was ever uncomfortable. Again, with the whole, I know what you mean with the consent stuff, especially with like photo taking. Unfortunately, I love the attention. I'm just naturally egotistical, I think. It's like
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me, man.
Exactly.
Look, I'm dressed as Doctor Strange. If you want to have your picture taken with me, then that's absolutely fine. I appreciate that people enjoy it, and I think that's kind of part of it. I like that it brings me joy, it brings other people joy, and if people like what you've got, every now and then you kind of get a few problems nowadays with people that kind of want to touch everything. I remember the first time I ever went out in public in my Darth Vader costume, everybody wants to like grab it.
Oh yeah,
or like
especially the cape.
Oh yeah, people want to pull on things and sort of grab stuff, and it's kind of like, hey, you kind of have to balance being polite with being firm and saying, hey, you're yanking on a $4,000 whatever right now, and 6 months of work. But most people have always been respectful. And back in the day when I started, like going to Page's bar, the Star Trek bar in London, we'd go on the London subway dressed as Star Trek characters. And usually you just got looked at like you just grown 3 heads. Because people they weren't used to seeing that. Now you can see cosplayers. People are used to it.
I mean, you can see like you can see someone like dressed like not at a convention, but you can see someone like dressed like Indiana Jones or Star-Lord just walking down the street.
Oh yeah, nowadays people just don't think anything of it. It is a lot more socially acceptable. Back in the day, it was more just people didn't really understand what was going on. You definitely got treated a little bit differently. People would think you were being immature, right? They didn't understand the fandom because it wasn't mainstream yet. I think that's the only real difference I've noticed, is just kind of the looks you used to get.
Right.
I mean, now you could go to Walmart dressed as a Wookiee and no one would turn a blind eye. But yeah, back in the day on the subway dressed as Captain Picard, you got people looking at you like you're half insane. But the respect thing's always been there, especially from the people I've been around. I've never had an issue with it.
That's good. The reason, like I said, the reason why I bring up, because there's some cosplayers younger, my age and older, who may not, whether they're just getting into it or they've done it for a long time, but they don't know about like the cosplay safety rules. Again, the biggest cosplay rule I think anyone should know is cosplay does not equal consent. You have to ask, hey, can I get a picture? Hey, can I hug you? Hey, can I do this? And if they say no, you got to be sure to respect that, because not everyone is gonna, say yes when you ask them for a picture or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a personal boundary with anyone, I think. That's just, whether that's cosplay or not. I mean, it's just generally
Right.
being a decent human being, you know.
Oh yeah, no. It's
Um,
just I know not everyone knows that. Not everyone knows that, or those who do know just don't care.
Well, I mean, you get those people that kind of feel like you're there for their entertainment as well. You know, I mean, it really does just depend where you are and who you're with. But no, I've never actually in God 30 years ever had any kinds of issues with people. Most people are respectful. Most people are even just interested in what you're doing. You know, like, why are you walking around dressed as Darth Vader? And it's like, well, you know, just for the fun of it.
Well, the question I think should be, well, why not?
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you can be anything, they say dress for the job you want. So I dressed, you know,
Yeah.
Well, I
dressed
mean,
as
if I
the
really-
leader.
That's why I wore Batman for so long. It's like, yeah, come on, man. You
Yeah,
know?
they kind of get upset in job interviews though when you get dressed up as Batman. You
I
know,
mean, there are some cosplayers out there who have turned cosplay into a full-on career.
oh yeah. I mean, I wish. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I do work in the movie industry anyway. You know,
Nice.
I'm an actor and a model, and I do, you know, TV adverts for like Harry and David and all these other
Very
whatevers.
nice.
So I've kind of been around it a little bit. Back in the UK, I was a TV extra a lot. So I've kind of always had my foot in the TV movie industry a little bit, not as much as I would like, but man, if somebody would pay me the right paycheck to walk around as Star-Lord, I think it would be heaven. Probably couldn't pull it off. I don't have the abs nor the nor the pecs for it, but hey.
I hear that. Same question for you, Brian. You know, no matter how old you are when it comes to cosplaying, whether you're getting into it or you've been doing it for a long time, do you whether you're a cosplayer or even an attendee, do you think, you know, you need to respect people's boundaries and wishes if they say no to a picture or something?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, pretty much I feel it's a mirror to Ben. Well, even down to the acting and stuff too, because that's a whole different environment. I did extra work for movies and stuff in Vegas and everything, and even coming out of makeup from there. And I did haunted houses when I was younger in high school. You know, going to the mall for lunch wearing Spider-Man or something like that. I've not really had too many issues, but there sometimes people come up and be interruptive. You know, it's like, look, I'm trying to eat my sandwich or my butter chicken or something. Can you give me a couple minutes? And usually people are pretty cool. Within a convention, I don't think the lines are as blurred as they may have been before. I've not really had much of a problem.
I mean,
but I have
I
heard
know
some
they post
absolute
like
horror stories.
I know they post signs. Like I've seen
Yeah.
quite a few cons like, you know, cosplay's not consent, do not touch, keep your hands to yourself, that
Yeah,
kind of
and
stuff. And not
you know
everyone.
damn well that came from an occurrence actually happening somewhere.
Oh, I wholeheartedly believe it because I know
Yeah,
this was
so
I know for you guys this wasn't a thing back. They didn't have that. But then
no,
again, not a whole
and
lot of not a whole lot of people cosplay. Those who did cosplay were like people fans of the shows. Nowadays, you got like you may not be a fan of the show, but you know you're like, ooh, I see this. I want to like no. It's like, you know,
yeah, I've not really run into
it's like a museum piece. You can look but don't touch kind of thing.
the only okay, it's and it's who it's for too, and Ben might have the same opinion on it. The only ones that maybe don't understand what boundaries are, or they get so enthralled because they're seeing their heroes are real little ones, like 5 and under.
Oh yeah,
that will come up and grab your leg or want you to pick them up or something like that. But see, I don't care. Come here, baby. You know, you know what I mean? That's fine. And I not had one of those kids come up and try, you know, like when I was a Peter Piper pizza mascot as a bear, and I don't know if it happened to you as a turtle or not, but you know, little kids would come up and punch you in the junk or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Oh yeah, no, I think I lost both my testicles just being that
yeah.
That turtle. I mean, it was for a joke shop. I was handing out balloons. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I was dancing around to promote pizza and stuff, but those suits I think had more of a problem because you were representative of a bigger company. But coming into cosplay, I've not had any problems. Those cosplays not consent things is great. Unfortunately, I think it was geared more towards incidents towards women and, you know, some of the questionable gropiness and stuff, but you know, it should still fall into pictures. I have a real issue, or did, especially with my stepkids and some of the apprentices in the shop and some of the other kids that would come along with us, any of the minors. You're not taking a picture unless you ask.
And a
most
lot,
people
and there
didn't-
also, and there has to be their parent or guardian
yeah,
right there.
and I'd have to
like-
carry waivers and stuff for some of the photo shoots, or have to have signed as a authorized signee for them if they went with me. But beyond that, you know, I can't think of anything that had ever really crossed the line. I wish people were a little bit more careful of watching like where hoses and sword handles and stuff went, but you know, that is a risk you take in a crowded environment. But blatant, no, I can't think of anything. I'm kind of with Ben. It's like, yeah, hey man, I'll take a picture. Shit, I don't ask. Come here. You know.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely. Oh, that's half the fun of it. It's almost like being
Yeah.
famous, being famous for a day. You know, you're
Sure.
walking around
Oh,
as
yeah.
Darth Vader. They're having their photo. Well, that's the other thing as well. They're not, depending on the costume, they're not having their photo taken with you.
Yeah.
They're having their photo taken with your character, or you know, and you have like an 8-year-old kid comes up who's been, you know, had been raised on Star Wars by his parents, and Darth Vader's his favorite character. Well, to that little kid, you're not, you know, I'm not Ben.
Yeah.
For that second when I'm, you know, meeting that kid and he's getting his picture taken, I'm Darth Vader. And you're blowing his mind at that point. You know, you're talking about a kid that still believes in Santa Claus. And it's completely different. So there's a whole different respect to it. So you don't really get the person kind of kicking you in the shins.
Yeah.
With that kind of cosplay.
See, and I have to wonder if that has something to do with their parents being a little bit younger and this stuff, you know, just that slight age gap there with the exposure, the acceptance, the mainstreamness, all that kind of stuff, that they're raising their kids to know not to be mean, not to be abusive, that, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then there is that level of hero worship at a certain age anyway, because like, you know, the Mutant Batman, the Spider-Man, you know, the Stormtrooper, whatever, I've been out, the Commander Shepard, any of that kind of stuff. But the kids, yeah, like you said, they're meeting their heroes for the first time, and some of them it's scary because it's too real.
Oh
which
yeah,
is interesting.
Yeah,
I always thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, my eldest is 17 and I have 2-year-old twins, and you know, I gave him a Spider-Man costume. So, you know, so he runs off to the bedroom, comes back dressed as Spider-Man. They've been calling him Spider-Man ever since.
Yeah.
As far as they're concerned, their older brother is Peter Parker now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is it. No, he's Spider-Man. They'll look at him and go,
Nice.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and they just completely blown away. You know, it's, they don't see him in a costume. They just, you know, they've watched Spider-Man, and now Spider-Man's sitting on the sofa with them, and it's just a whole different experience.
Oh, it's awesome. And I think that level of acceptance, and like I said, we were talking about before with the mainstream aspect of all this stuff, that some of those boundaries, Wayne, I don't think really get crossed as much outside of certain examples, but I imagine it would also depend on your at. Now, I don't know what conventions are like across the pond like Ben would. I you know, and most English are fighting mad if you get them to that point anyway, right?
Well, let's just say when you're coming home on the subway at midnight, you know, dressed as, you know, Captain Picard, you get the few drunk idiots that just, you know, think it's hilarious. But again, as you said, it wasn't mainstream back then.
Yeah.
You know, I was doing this 1991, 1992. You know, it's 30 years ago, which sounds awful coming out of my mouth.
Oh, it does. It's horrible. And you know, and the first big San Diego Comic-Con I went to in '89, and you know, the couple ones after that, it was cool. It was accepted because, you know, at that point it was just a lot of the basement nerds reading comics, and it was like, oh, you know, the different environment inside the building that would be taking a step out the door.
Oh yeah.
You know, but generally speaking, like we were saying, you could go to Walmart, you could go here and there, Fred Meyer, whatever, and dressed up as whatever, and people would probably still ask, can I take your picture? Can I do this? You know, other than security stuff maybe being an issue like at the mall or whatever. Yeah, those boundaries don't seem to be as blurry. And I think it's environmental and situational and stuff, but generally speaking, you know, going to Free Comic Book Day, I've never had an issue there in
That's
any
good.
appearance. Yeah,
Again, it's just, you know, it's just something I feel like, especially like younger, like little kids should know, because I know there's like, I haven't really seen it a whole lot, but I know there's sometimes where, you know, a parent looks away, next thing you know, their kid's bolting off to go want to hug Mario or something.
Yeah, but see, then that's also, like I was saying too, you know, as a responsible cosplayer or whatever, if that does happen, I've got a picture with me and a little 2-year-old that ran away from their parents, came up to me. Yeah, it was awesome. But you're still, you know, talking about the boundaries and stuff. I don't really count that, but if the kid come up and started punching on me or something like that, well, you know, that changes the game. That's what I'm saying. You know, there are certain exceptions to that, but generally speaking, by all means, it's what we're there for. I wouldn't be, I'm not going to be one of those looking, don't touch if the kid, little kids want to do something, but otherwise I've not had any real problems, and it just depends on the environment and where you're at more than anything else.
Yeah. Same question for you, AJ. What are your thoughts? Do you think, it's a good thing to have, the cosplays not consent rule and, respect a person's boundary, whether, you're cosplaying or whether you're a convention attendee?
Oh, absolutely. And until this, I actually didn't know that there was actually a written rule about it. I mean, I thought that was just like a rule of thumb, common sense.
Some people don't.
If you don't just walk up to a stranger and take a picture of them, it's a thing. But I mean, my teenagers, they like to dress up as the Easter Bunny or the Easter Quack. They have these like really big, like stuffed animal costumes that they put on.
Oh, fursuits, nice.
Yeah, and we got at Walmart, $99 each. And springtime comes, if it's dry, they put them on. They wander about Walmart. They wander around the parks, and just like everybody, it's like small children are gonna run up. They're gonna hug you. They're not going to, it's a thing. They're gonna be accepting of that, and they're okay with the attention from the small children. But then this one time, my youngest son was actually dressed up as Easter Bunny on Easter, waiting at the park for his little sisters to come down, and a bunch of teenagers started beating up on him. I mean, like preteen and high school kids were just literally kicking him and jumping on him. And it's like, seriously, who teaches your kids to attack the Easter Bunny, right? But
apparently mommy and daddy didn't hug them enough as a child.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe the Easter Bunny didn't come visit them when they were small, but it's a thing. And my children, my boys, are more likely to be interactive with others, especially small children, when they're wearing these costumes, and they love interacting with the children.
There's nothing wrong with that.
My sister's little children, they still see the Easter Bunny and the Easter Quack, and they still see them as an actual character.
Sure.
They don't see, their cousin dressed up as the Easter Bunny. They see the Easter Bunny. And then you have these other kids who are like, oh, I can see in the eyes. I can see there's a person in there. Like, how do you ruin the magic like that,
And don't do that, And I feel like, I do like the fact that there are parents who, like, when they take their kids to a con and their kid gets so excited, like the parents will be like, okay, just be careful and behave and be nice, and don't, like, start grabbing on, or ask permission if like with little this brings me on to my next question about parenting and everything stuff, starting with you, Ben. What has been like having your kids get into cosplaying?
Well, I'm losing a lot of my props, let's put it that way. It's my God, he's what, 13 now. I mean, he's been obsessed with the same stuff as me, since he could literally walk. So
parenting well done.
Yeah, parenting well done. Yeah, no, I've introduced him to all the classics. We only Indiana Jones, Star Wars, literally all the good stuff, Ghostbusters. The parenting part is great. I mean, like I was saying before, you get to kind of relive your own childhood with them again, which is fantastic. But yeah, man, he's awful. He'll give me that look, and he'll go through my props, and he'll be like, I really, really like that golden idol you've got. I love
sure
you,
he has
Daddy.
a bag of sand.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I love you, Daddy. And it's just like, oh, dude, come on, now you're killing me.
Don't give the puppy dog eyes.
Yeah. Oh no, he does, and he's really good at it too. He's acquired a lot of my early collection. But no, the parenting thing's great. I love it. It's a whole new lease of life for the whole experience. I get to watch the movies with him. I'm a massive movie buff. I've got thousands of DVDs. At one point I had a 10-foot cinema screen in my living room. It was ridiculous stuff. So they've been raised with that.
Nice.
And for me, it really it rejuvenates it all the time. I've watched Goonies 1,000 times, but watching Goonies with my kids for the first time is fantastic, because I get to watch them enjoy it.
Nice.
And it just brings it all back. And it's, again, back in the day, when I was a kid, there was no cable, there was no internet. VHS movies were barely out on rental. You know, you wanted to go and see a movie.
And you had to be
have that
lucky
experience.
if you had to be lucky if your movie was you know, if you were home for your to watch your favorite movie on TV.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I was raised with the traditional cinema experience. You know, it was like, okay, I remember going to the theater to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. I saw, you
Yep,
know,
opening night.
oh yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Return of the Jedi, Goonies. I remember watching Ghostbusters. I think I was 10 years old, and I
Yeah.
remember, you know, the library ghost scared the crap out of me. That was a great way to kind of, you know, separate the wheat from the chaff early on in the movie. You know, but yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I get a massive kick out of it. I'm a huge movie fan. Oh, I mean, obviously.
Nice.
And the parenting with it. I mean, okay, like you know, you're saying before with Brian, you know, you want to be respectful of, you know, kids and make sure that everyone's safe, and you know, especially when you're doing the cosplaying thing. But ultimately, it's made it more fun for me.
Nice.
It's not just for my own personal pleasure anymore. Now it's a family thing. It's something we do together. It's a bonding experience, and it's a whole new lease of life. It makes it more exciting.
Nice.
It's just getting expensive.
What cosplays have you and your kids done together?
We did the Ghostbusters thing at the Medford Comic Con, where he was the real Ghostbuster. I was a regular Ghostbuster. He hasn't really cosplayed with me much at the minute. It sounds kind of weird, but we mostly just screw around at home.
There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, I use when I play with him, I love, you know, interactive play. You know, I'm the kind of guy that, you know, I've got a full Indiana Jones costume. It's movie accurate. I've got parts from New Zealand and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I'd set up the beginning of the movie in the backyard, you know, with the boulder.
Nice.
And it would just, you know, and we'd replay scenes, and it's very, very interactive play with that. He's only just started doing the Comic-Con thing, mostly because of his age. But for him, it was all about, it was more of a playing thing.
Nice.
You know, we're gonna both wear proton packs, run around the house and kill.
Oh,
ghosts.
he's got his whole life ahead
gonna...
of him when it comes to the cons. Like I imagine he's gonna enjoy these conventions.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a massive child. Like I said, I'm 48 going on 12. I get to play again, you know, and I think that's keeping me young.
That's always good.
You know, so yeah, his interaction with the cosplay is more from the playing point of view.
Nice.
But I tell you, you start adding costumes and props to games, it really it's a whole new level.
That's basically role playing right there.
Oh, absolutely. And it's great. And I love watching him have fun. I mean,
nice.
You know, he's my kid. So
same question for you, Brian. What's it been like cosplaying with your kids? I remember Medford Comic Con 2017. You did the ODST, and your daughter was Nightwing. What was that like?
And yeah, because she did Nightwing. My now son-in-law was Batman for that one, and then I had my son, one of the shop kids, stepson, friend of my daughter's. Yeah, I think I had all those ODST stuff. So my kids, and then my kids by extension, doing it. It's almost mirrored to what Ben's saying as far as the experience is concerned. And all three of my kids cosplay to some extent. My girls are a little bit more active about it than my son is, which is, you know, fine. I don't care one way or the other. But starting him off younger with involving the props and or action figures and stuff, I lost a lot of really expensive collectibles early on because off the shelf, oh yeah, hey look, there's that variant Boba Fett that's, you know, one of like 100. Now it's gone now.
Like, well, now it's not one of anything now.
Yeah, Warhammer figures, things like that. That, you know, it's fine because I look back on it now and, you know, he apologizes, but it's like, dude, you were a baby. Who cares? It happens. You know,
it's different. It's different when you're older, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, but with that start and being okay with it, and whether it's video games, whether it was movies, like his favorite films are some of the classics, you know, Aliens, the Ghostbusters, stuff like that too, for the same exposure. And having that translate into wanting to get into a costume or helping prop build or something like that, or like Ben was saying, playing with some of the stuff. That's why we do a lot of board games. We still do, you know, and my daughters are really rabid DC fans. Some of it was from me, some of it they've gone and explored on their own. So the whole experience has been great because it's like, look, I'll expose you to all kinds of stuff, and whatever sticks is fine. If it doesn't, that's cool too. But the level of involvement just coming from the exposure and being able to enjoy the same stuff that like my father never did. I don't know about how your parents were, Ben. My dad did not like my artistic side whatsoever, my father anyway. And you know, I was weirdo with this and that, you know, because it's just a mentality. But to be able to share that aspect of it, the inclusion and the acceptance of, hey, whatever you're into, I'm not a big anime person, but if you kids want to do it, sure, whatever. I don't, whatever.
See, I like the fact that, you know, parents are accepting that their kids want to get into it, but I also feel like, depending on the age of your child, there are certain characters they should not cosplay right away.
Well, fair enough. But what I'm saying is just the passion, the
Oh, yeah,
interest,
no.
and then, you know, the parental involvement on my end that I never got, you know, and I'm not trying to make up, you know, daddy never loved me, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, right? So yeah, exactly. Yeah, daddy wasn't there, which in my case is true. I mean, my uncle was the one that used to get a lot of stuff from Japan when he was in Westpac in the Navy, you know, and I used to see bootleg copies of movies and stuff. And he introduced me a lot of horror films, and you know, we got some of the big ones beforehand. But I was still interested in this stuff even without my father, and to keep that going, and then to be able to share that love. And once again, but I'm of the opinion, if it sticks, great. And then you're included, and now we get to do this stuff together. And hey, do you have friends? I mean, my best friends are like 12 years old. You know what I mean? Even still currently, I relate more with kids than I do with people my own age, because I don't sports ball, I don't drink, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. So there's a certain level of like, yeah, I get to be the cool parent to my kids and other kids that might not have that outlet. And that's kind of changed the con scene too. I've had kids follow me on Facebook or Instagram, chase me up to Yukon, and I was like, oh, okay.
You're quote unquote fan club.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know this kid was going to do it at one point, and it was awesome, but I'm fine with it. And then, you know, teaching them the right way to do stuff, the way to behave, the whole aspect of, and then, like I said, my kids and others as well. And then I never quite got as into the playing aspect as what it sounded like Ben did, but just with board games and stuff. But you know, the prop end of it, not so much with growing up. But I'm glad they all do it. I'm glad they at least understand it. I don't get ridiculed or made fun of for like, oh my God, Dad, I can't believe you're almost 50 and you're running around in tights. Yes, I am. You know,
and I still look good in them.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll still do it when I'm using a walker.
Yeah, I don't have legs for the tights, I'm afraid. You know,
you know, yeah, skin tight spandex is not for everybody, just inherently. But I'm just saying that it's awesome across the board, and then the fact that it's that much more widely acceptable has made it easier as a parent too, because then you're not, unfortunately, like back when Ben and I were younger, you know, not raising the weird kid, the oddball. It's like, no, they're all competing now for knowledge of, you know, stuff that he and I might have been the only ones that have known anything about for the next 10, 12 years.
You do.
Yeah. Well, but you know, but what I'm saying is, like, I was reading Macross Saga back in like 4th grade and stuff, and nobody knew what the hell that was. You know, it was Robotech stuff back in the originals. Or being into the early Transformers, reading the Ghostbusters, having all this knowledge in my head, reading Gorezone and Fangoria magazine, and just Starlog and anything I could ingest. But there was really nobody to talk to about it.
Well, I think you actually hit the nail right on the head with that one. I think one of the things that's helping right now is that people our age who have got children were the original. You know, we were there at the perfect decade, the 1980s. Yeah. You know, you had Saturday morning cartoons, like you said. It was real Ghostbusters, Transformers. We had some of the best movies that were ever made came out in the 80s. You know, it was I mean, seriously, it was probably one of the best decades for original movies. You know, it wasn't all that crappy 1970s stuff. We had science fiction TV shows, you know, we had everything. So parents now kind of have that advantage. Like my dad was born in 1953, you know, so he's your quintessential old fart, you know.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid enjoying all that new stuff in the 80s, he was very old-fashioned. You know, he was a lot more, I mean, he was always behind it, but he was a lot more proper. You know, I want you to read, you know, children, when I was your age, we were outside on our pogo stick with our hoop. You know, we were playing kick the can, you know, that kind of crap.
We were making cave paintings and sticks with stones.
yeah, exactly. But
that's my childhood in a
no diss to anyone, you know, who's like 50, 60, 70 or anything.
Well, no, it's a
Yeah,
huge
but it's
societal and tonal
generational.
shift and stuff. You know, the
Oh, yeah.
Universal monsters might have appealed to people back in the 30s. I mean, you look at it, there's always been a contingent of fans of some of this stuff. It's just
Mhm.
how far did it carry outside of the cinema?
Oh yeah, no.
You know,
Oh
King
yeah,
Kong,
definitely.
Carlo Rambaldi, and all those guys that were making some of these fantastic, you know, animatronics and stuff. There's always been a market for it, but it wasn't until the early 80s, I think, it might have started really getting that ball rolling that it's okay to be that different and this is a legitimate thing. When
Well, and
Rick
the
Baker
merch-
won his Oscar,
well, and the
I think
merch-
that was probably where it started.
Before
and the
we
merchandising as well.
continue
Yeah.
real
Oh,
quick,
yeah.
I want to get AJ's opinion real quick.
Sure.
What's it been like having your kids liking cosplay and everything? Have you? I know we kind of briefly talked about it before, but have you and your kids cosplay together, or are they just cosplay
Well,
by themselves?
No, the most of my kids will cosplay is like dressing up as the Easter Bunny or the Easter Quack. My kids are more into creating their OCs, their original characters.
There's
They don't
nothing.
want to,
There's nothing. There's nothing wrong with
right.
having an OC.
They don't want to pretend to be somebody else. They want to create a character that is unique, 100% them, and so they don't want to try to be somebody else. They want to bring themselves into a character of their own.
And then there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of how I see it. OC. It's like
Yeah.
it's the character you want to be that no one else has already done.
Mm-hmm.
Or mashup or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
no.
all fun.
Absolutely.
But so
And-
you mean, and I mean, cosplay does mean constant play. So I'm sure your kids do enjoy cosplaying.
Well, yeah, I was talking about how my boys will dress up as the Easter Bunny or the Easter Quack. And I mean, they always love dressing up for Halloween. And like I said, I'm a noob to cosplay. I literally only recently learned about cosplay, and I'm still trying to, join the cosplay community and become a cosplayer. I'm absolutely excited and thrilled because it's taken one thing that was my favorite thing growing up, the one day of the year that as a child I was allowed to dress up and be somebody else, that now I can do it whenever I want. And so I'm really excited about it. And I'm hoping that, I can share some of that excitement with my boys. Like my youngest and my sister's oldest have been talking about wanting to do this, these two characters, one's black and one's white, and they want to do this little duel thing and chase each other around. And it brought back to mind a couple of characters from my childhood that I remember seeing between episodes of Pink Panther. They were this black character and this white character, and they were always chasing each other around. And then I remembered Mad Magazine.
Oh, the Spy versus
Versus
Spy.
Spy.
Spy versus
Yeah.
Spy.
Beat me to
And
it.
so I'm really excited because I'm actually going to prepare these costumes for these boys because they have this plan. They want to dress up in these costumes. They didn't realize, they had no clue about Spy versus Spy. But as they're describing this, one wants to be black and one wants to be in white, and they're describing these characters that they want to portray. And I'm like, I know those characters. Those characters are from my childhood. And they didn't even know that these characters existed. And I'm really excited because now I get to put a character on them and let them put their own personality to it.
Nice. I mean, the fact that your kids are wanting to cosplay something that is like 40 plus years old, such as I think they're Spy versus Spies that old. I could
Might
be
even
wrong.
be older than that.
But yeah, no. But the
It was
fact
Bill
the,
Gaines and all those guys when they started EC Comics. I think that was an offshoot with it's got to be at least that old. At
Even
least.
the
Yeah.
fact that your kids want to cosplay, characters, from that era, and they don't really know anything about that, I know that brings you joy.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching these little clips, when I was a kid, and they were absolutely the most hilarious thing. Like, no kid wants to wait. No kid is looking forward to the commercial break unless it's that little skit.
I remember those.
That little skit was so worth it. It was so hilarious. And
Oh man.
yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm gonna get them dressed up, and maybe, just maybe, they might catch the bug.
Hey, you gotta start off small.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's not a bad thing. A few more questions, and this is probably actually one of my favorite segments. I know Brian's familiar with this one. I'll start with him. What's been out of like over the course of your 30 plus years of cosplaying?
Yeah.
What has been some of your favorite cosplays that you've done, whether it's an older character or a newer character?
Well, like I said before, with the inclusion of having multiple people in it, the Halo ODST thing was a blast, just inherently, because I was able to get, a kid from what, 7 up to mid-20s involved, plus the ex-wife and this. I mean, it was just a very inclusive thing. That was really cool. That made a big impact. Personal favorite, once I've gotten it to an acceptable level of detail for me, the Ghostbuster's been a blast. Because it's just been a childhood dream since way back when. But it's hard to pin any down for any one reason, because doing Spider-Man's been fantastic. Commander Shepard has its fans. The Batman, obviously, even that weird ass 4chan pedo bear that we did years ago, the Stormtrooper, any of them, they all have their own merits. But as far as like the one that I would probably come out with the most would probably be the ODST, because I was able to include so many other people and show them how easy it was to do. And I have Andrew DFT to thank for that too. So that would
Shout out to
probably be
Andrew.
the one. What's up? Oh yeah,
That's-
yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Nice. Same question for you, Ben. What's been some of your favorite cosplays that you've done over the course of your 30 years of cosplaying, whether it's an older character or a newer character, or just a character that you created yourself?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and agree with Brian on the Ghostbuster. I mean, I think that one's just, it's one of the most universally recognizable, especially with the whole Ghostbusters resurgence that's been going on. Kids, it's a kid-friendly horror movie, if you kind of want to put it in those terms. And
it's I would say it's suitable for kids.
Yeah,
Just,
it's kid-friendly horror. So, it kind of gets them introduced to that, but it's so approachable, because they're the heroes, they're the good guys. So of course kids aren't going to feel intimidated around it. And it's just a genuinely fun costume. The Proton Pack, appeals to all the prop side of things, because the Proton Pack in itself is just an insane prop.
No, it is. It's a big, like, is yours does yours have some weight to it, or is it lightweight?
It weighs about 55 pounds.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it's fully
It's like that's like carrying like 2 toddlers.
Yeah, pretty much. And I do that on a regular basis. It's heavy. I mean, it's got the real Alice pack on it. It's got electronics. It's got 15-watt Bluetooth speaker system in it. It's a big, hefty thing. And I think my other favorite, honestly, just for the pure wow factor for most people that see it for the first time, is Darth Vader. He's tall, he's ominous, he's a quintessential early sci-fi bad guy, and when you do it properly, it's really imposing.
I gotta ask, does it do the breathing thing?
Yes, it does. It does the breathing thing. It's got all the lights and stuff.
You can't not have the breathing.
Man,
oh yeah,
I'm hoping one of these days to beat you at a con, just so I can see it, because I've only seen like 2 Darth Vader cosplays in person.
Well, that's what I mean. It's imposing. He's under repair at the moment because I was an absolute muppet, and when I moved house, I tried to move the costume while it was still on its mannequin, and it fell over, and I smashed his face in. So
Darth Vader down, Darth Vader down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It took me everything I had not to.
He no longer has the high ground.
Yeah, it was like, God, I'm going to sit here and cry for 5 minutes. I mean, it
Yeah.
I mean, now you can have a post Darth Vader,
Be like you're like Darth Vader when he's on his knees yelling, "No!"
Oh no! It was probably the most pain I've felt in quite some time, man. It was. But no, he's repairable. But he's under repair at the minute. But yeah, like I said, you can say Darth Vader in literally any country around the world,
and people will know.
Everybody knows who he
Indeed.
is.
I mean,
very iconic.
Yeah, he's. I mean, God, 1977. He the whole Star Wars thing was what started the whole sci-fi opera genre.
Aside from Star Trek, which came out in the 60s.
Well, Star Trek's a little different, because that's sci-fiction. Star Wars is sci-fantasy.
Okay, yeah.
There is a big distinction between the two.
Oh yeah, and you had all the rip-off movies that came out as soon as Star Wars came out. Everybody wanted to copy
Princess
it.
Warrior, Your Hunter from the Future.
There's also the Star Wars one. I think I can't remember what it's called, but it has David Hasselhoff in it.
Oh, good Lord, really?
It was on an episode. It was on an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
I'm not surprised. Red Brown made a gang of movies. There's so many of them. Hell, even Corman got involved in. There was what that guy.
Oh, Roger Corman, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, some of his movies were just direct ripoffs and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. His movies are pretty good,
You
actually.
were saying?
Oh, I love them. Oh, dude.
I feel like we're
Yeah.
interrupting AJ here. You were saying
Oh,
AJ?
sorry. What's that?
Sorry.
I was just gonna say that iconic line, you know, has been reproduced in many other scenes.
Oh, I'm your father.
I am your father. Yeah, that's been reproduced in so many
Luke,
different
I'm your
movies.
father.
Like,
Well, it's no, I'm your father, but that's all right.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
It's all right.
AJ, real quick. So I forgot to ask us, how long have you been cosplaying for, and how recent did you get into the whole cosplay community and everything?
This year. Like
So you're a baby cosplayer.
I am a baby cosplayer. I only just a few days ago got the last piece in the mail for my very first outfit, my very first cosplay.
And that was for Genji, or was
no, that one is for Charmy Pappetson.
From Black Clover.
Right, from Black Clover. My second cosplay is almost complete. And it's actually the one that I'm actually more excited about. I'm gender bending a polar bear from One Piece. So I'm actually super duper excited about that. And another cosplayer from one of the groups that I'm on gave me the inspiration to gender bend another one that I'm actually really excited to try that one. So I'm gonna try to gender bend Beast from X-Men.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Classic.
so that's two furry characters that I'm gonna be gender bending, and it's gonna be so fun.
Nice. I'm sure. So that will be your legit first time cosplaying then.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to
Nice.
have at least 3 cosplay outfits ready. I was hoping to get to Emerald City Comic Con this year in August, 3-day event. David Tennant is supposed to be there. And
I've been looking at posts about that on Facebook and Instagram.
dying to meet him. Yeah, I'm dying to meet him. So I want to get at least 3 outfits ready for my first con.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with, like,
Just one. Yeah.
even like Brian said, even like, I mean, I've seen a meme on Facebook about, older cosplayers looking at younger cosplayers changing into 2 to 3 costumes, and the person's like, I can only just like change into one if I'm feel up to it.
Oh, what a pain in the ass that is sometimes.
I can't like
changes on the fly. Ugh.
How do you do it?
Like, I have
you run to the hotel, you're stripping off as you get in the door, everything gets thrown on the floor, you go into the next
some
box.
conventions are even like have their own like cosplay changing stations.
Yeah, I've done it. It's not the most fun, but yeah, I changed in the back of a U-Haul once because that's all they had available.
That's where you take a small motorhome or a small trailer, like you convert an old horse trailer into your cosplay truck, and you just like step inside. You've got place to take your pictures, place to hang your
that's
costume.
if I wasn't told that facilities will be provided. We get up there and switching off between the pedo bear, Batman, the ODST, and the Stormtrooper, because each of us can only stand being in it for so long because it gets so damn hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a U-Haul in the back lot, and I was like, well, this but yeah, otherwise, yes, an RV would be fantastic. Or it's just rushing to your hotel room or trying to change in the parking lot, which is not a lot of fun either. Or just pick one and go with it and just be done with it for the 3 days that you're there.
Well, yeah, and see, I'm going to have nothing but time for the next 3 to 6 months while I'm recovering from reconstructive surgery on my foot. So I'm going to be pretty much sitting at my sewing machine making cosplay outfits.
Awesome.
Nice. Very nice.
Good job.
Question for Ben, a little about topic here. You're my second guest down here who's from the UK. I actually had another cosplayer who was from the UK a while back. So thank you for being the second.
Oh, absolutely.
What's the word? International cosplayer.
Immigrant.
Yeah.
No. Actually, no. You're my 4th international cosplay guest down here. So thank you.
Oh, you're more than welcome, man.
So the one I want to ask is, because I asked this with another international cosplayer interview a while back. What was it like cosplaying and doing conventions back in the UK? If you attended any conventions back then?
I never actually went to any of the conventions in the UK. You know, again, when I was in I've been in the US 20 years now. So I kind of left before that was really getting to be a big thing. And also I was in my early 20s. My budget wasn't as healthy as it is now. But yeah, no, like I said, the one thing I was doing mostly in the UK, I did two things. I was a member of something called the Vikings of Middle England, which was a Viking reenactment group, you know, where we'd all get into chainmail and swords and shields and basically beat the crap out of each other in front of a crowd for, you know, for an hour.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's fun until you get hit by a 20-foot Dane axe between your shoulder blades, but you know, that'll put hair on.
I hear Brian laughing.
But yeah, and apart from that, you know, it was, you know, Halloween was a really big thing, and then Paige's Bar, which was the Star Trek bar in London.
If I ever go to is that place still open, or is it closed?
Oh, good Lord, I doubt it. I mean, this was 1992. Yeah, 30
Yeah, I
years.
wouldn't think if the Star Trek experience could make it at the Flamingo, it probably isn't.
I mean,
Yeah.
hell, look at this. Look at the Star Wars themed hotel that, you know, got shut down too because there was like $5,000 a night.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, I think I'd pay off my car.
Jeez. Man. So two more questions, and Brian's actually familiar with this one. I'll start with you, Ben, and then AJ, then Brian. Any cosplay horror stories or experiences you'd like to share?
Apart from my Darth Vader falling over on his mannequin, I think that's about it. Other than that, I've just had a ton of fun with it.
Any great experiences or funny moments you'd like to share, or embarrassing moments?
No, actually, I think I've been pretty lucky. You know, it's all just been a really good fun ride. Yeah, no, I've never had any bad experiences really. Sorry to disappoint you.
Oh no, it's a question I ask. I mean, Brian's familiar with it. I've heard some of his horror stories, especially if you listen to the cosplay adventure one. I remember Brian telling me how these people got into a fight over a piece of Star Trek merch.
Yeah, that's the one that made me take a break for a while, because that fan and fanatic line getting blurred. That's a tough one to see in person, because then you start questioning, like, am I going to turn into that? Is this what it's going to end up being from here on out for everybody and stuff? But you know, it's a rarity, and it sounds like Ben's lucked out, because we both got about the same track record, except living in Las Vegas, being that young, and then going to LA and stuff. Once again, how we talked about the environment with some of the consent lines getting blurred, I think makes a world of difference too.
Yeah. AJ, I know you're just new to this, but have you ever had any experiences you'd like to share while starting out with cosplaying?
Well, my very first kimono didn't exactly turn out the best. I know I needed to make a few alterations so it would fit properly. However, tying the obi, which I thought was going to be the worst part about it, the obi is the belt worn in a traditional kimono.
Yeah, that goes around the waist.
Right, and that wasn't as hard as I thought to tie it myself. I actually watched a YouTube video on how to tie one by yourself, and I'm a very large woman, and so I was still able to tie this obi around myself, and then you tie it in the front, and then you rotate it to where the bow is in the back, and that actually it turned out better than I expected. I just need to go back and make a few alterations to the kimono itself, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm sure you're looking forward. I'm sure you're looking forward to is the kimono complete, or are you still working on it?
Well, the kimono itself is complete. The way that I made it, there's I need to add fabric to it to make it bigger, to make it go, because the front part needs to actually overlap each other. And the way that I made it, it only comes to, so I would have to put buttons down to connect it instead of having it cross over like it's supposed to. So I know what I need to do to go back and actually get some more fabric. And this is some fabric I actually had to order online because I wanted I was going for I don't know if you're familiar with the Flame Point Siamese, which is an Asian cat breed.
Not really.
It's a white cat with orange markings, and so I used flaming fabric, and it was so hard to find this particular color of flames, like it was just orange and red flames, and I couldn't find any fabric locally, so I had to actually go online to order it. And so they're out of stock. Go figure. So as soon as they get some more in, I'll be ordering some more of the fabric and then just adding on to my kimono.
Nice. Okay, I just remembered another question now, and Brian, I'm not sure if your answer has changed since the last time I asked this. Any future cosplays you're looking forward to doing later down the road, whether it's an older character or a newer character?
I still, well, now I'm kind of torn since the last time we talked about it, because the new Dune movie came out.
Oh yeah, the what was it? The reboot?
Well, the remake or whatever. Because remember how I was talking about with the 84 Dune still suit was one that had always been on the show. I just
where it has like that piece with the nose.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then just the pockets and stuff and everything. But now that the new one came out, I'm kind of torn between doing that one and then the old one, but it may be both. So those are on the shelf, and then I've still got to break down and do an entire high fantasy suit for myself. I've always done it for other people. So I've got a whole shop full of, I started this, or
works in progress, or about to start.
There's a ton of them.
Done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then for a while I was just doing it just to learn how to do something for somebody else. But business hasn't been what it was. So now I want to do some more stuff on my end. But the dream one's still a still suit. I just can't decide now which one. Yeah.
Same question for you, Ben. Any future cosplays you're looking forward to doing, whether it's an older character or a newer character or something you want to do yourself?
Right, I'm currently working on a cinematic Doctor Strange, which is going really well.
Ooh, like Marvel movie Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, banana hammock, cucumber snatch, whatever his name is.
That's about. Isn't that? I think that's his Christian name, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, banana hammock, cucumber snatch.
That'd be pretty cool.
I thought so.
See, especially from what you've been telling me, what you do, it'd be pretty cool if you could try to make like the cape move.
Well, what I'm trying to figure out is you have those things that spin around with the light displays on them. They're kind of like the little light bars, and they rotate. I want to kind of figure out a way of having his spells kind of be able to come out of my wrists and kind of add some of that to it, which would be cool. That one's nearly done. Oh, did I lose you?
Oh no, I'm just replying. I saw one of our. I'm probably gonna let him know that we're almost done recording, and again, I'll most likely
yeah. Oh, no worries. I just had a little ping off in my.
It was Facebook. I'll just let him know that.
Yeah, I have seen some people do some fantastic stuff with those LED fans and stuff that you're talking about for the Carmitage magic and stuff. Oh. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's kind of where I go with that. And I think my absolute dream one, which I will get round to one day, is I want to do a full-on Predator.
Arnold Predator or
Arnie Predator. The Predator,
the
only
original.
The original, the regular ugly guy. But I think the biggest challenge I'm going to have with that is I'm not exactly muscular. So I'd have to do like the whole muscle suit kind of thing and probably spray down something with latex and then put fishnet over it and all that kind of stuff. But I think the armor would be absolutely fun.
I have a mask that I just finished, the Bio Helmet, and I'm with you on that one. That's another one that long term has always been a huge goal, and the Jungle Hunter is my favorite. But I'm not Kevin Peter Hall, neither are you. So the height thing to begin with, but
or you weren't Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was going to be the original, but he backed out.
Bug one, that was terrible.
But he backed out when he found out his face wasn't going to be shown.
Yeah, it was a terrible design. But anyway. I'm with you on that one. That armor and the plasma caster and this and that. But see, you probably end up putting servos and stuff in there.
Oh
and
yeah, I want to
everything.
do I want to have the moving mandibles, the whole thing. Like I want, I'm
Ooh.
really big
Are
on
you
my
gonna have his
movement.
shoulder cannon move too?
Oh yeah.
That's the plasma
Oh,
caster.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
what I'm talking about.
yeah,
It's- I mean, that's
and
that's
you
my
see your
ultimate
LED, your
dream
LED
costume.
wrist guard thing, his timer bomb thing, whatever it's called.
I think I could figure it out given enough time.
I mean, the LEDs are basically the same like you see on a LED clock, if
Yeah.
I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
pretty much. I mean, the great thing is now, Arduino technology is so damn cheap.
Oh yeah,
now,
you can
you-
easily do it now compared to back then. It's like you had to have to like break into Area 51 or something.
yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Well,
even
you can
for
get the source code or even just an app that'll display the Yautja language on your phone and just insert it in
Oh, yeah.
the wrist
Oh yeah,
gauntlet.
man.
So
I've
yeah,
seen
Oh,
this guy I knew, he made an app on his phone that would change the color of his lightsabers.
oh, I've got a couple of them that do that. It's fantastic. It's wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
AJ, same question. Any cosplays you're wanting to do in the future, whether it's an older character or a newer character?
Yes. And you're all talking about all the reboots and stuff from all of the movies from when we were kids. The one that always comes back to mind, and I keep getting so upset they keep rebooting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Go with the
And
comic version.
Right, and they always
the
forget
dark gritty.
Oh
The
yeah,
one-
the
the
beer
one
drinking,
character-
foot killing, yeah,
Mhm.
swearing. Yep.
the one character that they keep forgetting is a character that I want to do. And I did see a picture of somebody cosplaying her, which gave me the inspiration to do it. And I found a lot of videos and stuff on how to make the costume. I want to do Mei Peichi,
Who?
and also known as Venus de Milo, as she was renamed by the brothers.
Oh, from the
From the
musical one. That's where
yeah.
her first appearance came out. Was that tour? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Power Rangers
Out of their
crossover.
shell. It was
that. I hated that's gonna be for a geeking out review.
I remember
Yeah.
her
Couldn't make
from
it. I couldn't make it. The first female turtle to have breasts.
Yeah,
the
that
one
was
that I seen her in was the mini series.
Isn't that Heroes on a Half Cup?
that would probably be better than Out of Their Shell for the live rock and roll tour. Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
Again,
Heroes in a B cup.
that is for a Geek It Out podcast. If anyone ever wants to join in and talk about that god awful show. But you wanted to do Venus de Milo from Teenage, like the whole suit wearing like how they did it in the show?
Oh yeah, I actually seen many different cosplay videos on how to make it using Eva foam for the helmet, and you can even use I don't even remember what they called the other foam. There was a softer foam.
it's
and
urethane.
fabric.
It's like
Yeah.
yeah. You can get L400 or just get couch foam and stuff. Yeah,
Right,
it's great
and
stuff.
it's not hard to do it. It's just very time consuming, and I don't have a lot of the things I need. Like I don't have a heat gun, I don't have a Dremel yet, I don't have all of the fun tools and stuff.
Amazon is your best friend.
Right,
Yeah.
I have everything in my cosplay wish list that I need. Like I grew up old-fashioned parents. I was a girl. I got dolls. I wasn't allowed to play with tools. I wasn't allowed to play with,
You're
that
gonna
kind of
play with
stuff.
these dolls
So-
and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so that was my life as a child. And now as an adult, I've found that I've had to use tools more than my parents promised I would ever have to. And so now I'm gonna get me a Dremel. I'm gonna watch YouTube and I'm gonna learn how to use it, right?
Okay.
I
Plus,
want to
you got
make
people like Ben and Brian here who have been cosplay mechanics for a long time.
right. And Brian is becoming a really good friend of mine. I keep asking him, how do you do this?
Some of it's innate, some of it's just learning what not to do. You should see the mistake pile, and I'm sure Ben can attest to that too.
Oh yeah, no. When I did my first Darth Vader armor, I think I went through like 3 different versions of it because, it appeals to that. I'm really madly OCD as well. That doesn't really help. So I'm never quite happy with everything until it's absolutely perfect. So yeah,
Yeah,
there are a few.
got more totes full of scrap foam and recuts than I ever did of completed stuff because of that. And then, it's that building to a microscopic inspection level. And that's why I'm not very prolific for my stuff. For other people, it's tough to let go at good enough is good enough. But yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to be good enough.
And I've come to realize, I think the best thing about the cosplay trash pile, you can always reuse that for something else or donate it.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess it's my turn now, since I usually don't answer my own questions. One of the cosplays I want to do, because I tried looking for it on eBay, but it's not in my size. It's and I was thinking about doing the later version. I want to do Master Chief's original armor from the first Halo.
Oh, the Mark III, right? Yes. Or is it 4? Shit, I can't remember. I've got a Chief helmet sitting up on the shelf. I should know this.
It's the one that has the black.
Yeah, I think that's the 3, because that was from the Spartan 2 program. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people cosplay, from Halo 2 and up, but I haven't seen a whole lot of people cosplay Master Chief's original design.
I think I've only ever seen one, and he just 3D printed it. But there's not a lot of lines to it. I mean, it's doable, Wayne. You can do it.
I can't do for shit. I did happen to find, though, on Etsy for like over $100, someone made the helmet, which they do. So like, I may have to go to you to help.
Yeah,
like I'll forget them.
That's just one of those but see, now that's the thing. I can look up reference photos. I can look up this kind of stuff. I can get 3D scan turnarounds and crap like that I could never have done 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
I mean, like you said, back then you had to like look at a magazine, take a picture, or hell, back, you take a picture from off your phone on the TV. But now, like you said, you can there are programs where you can look at the character like in a 360 view.
Yeah. Yep. Man. I remember having to take pictures with the 410 camera, go get them developed just so I could see, the turnaround or the Terminator, because I was obsessed with the endoskeleton. I wanted to build that. I mean, I've got a 4-foot version in the living room here, but just to see what they look like, all that kind of stuff.
They even make model toys now that are like the Black series and everything. You can see full scale model. None of that stuff was a thing,
but it was just like Ben said, you would get ravenous and try and grab everything you possibly could, just to see what this guy looked like.
I mean, that's like a perfect example of like, okay, well, how do I,
but you couldn't.
Oh no. So the last question, and I'll start with AJ, then Ben, and then Brian, because this is a question I always ask at the end of these videos. Start with AJ. Any advice you like to give to cosplayers out there, whether they're young cosplayer or older cosplayer, and they want to consider on getting into cosplay?
You're never too old. There's really no reason not to, and don't let anybody discourage you. If you want to do it. I'm 41 and I'm mobility limited, which means I use a wheelchair part-time. I'm going to put a pirate flag on my wheelchair and I'm going to cruise the aisles dressed up as a pirate. And
the SS Harpy or whatever. Yeah, there you go. Have fun.
There is a video. So this video will be coming out in August. So I would recommend checking out a podcast panel I did called Disability in Cosplay. If you ever want to check that out, because I did a podcast with some cosplayers who are disabled who give the best advice if you ever need to know more anything about that.
Oh yes, awesome. Thank you. Hook me up. I want to hear it.
I definitely will, and I'll hook you up with some cosplayers I know who are disabled. Ben, same question. Any advice you want to give to cosplayers out there who are young, old, and are considering on wanting to get into this hobby?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, just have fun. I mean, that's literally what this is all about. Don't worry about your budget. Don't worry about whether you're movie accurate or comic accurate. Just have fun with it, because that's literally the point. If you're too worried about, your costume being perfect, or you're worried about what you've got to spend, it's just going to rob you of all the joy. And that's not why we do this. We do this because it's just a hell of a lot of fun. And if you're not having fun, there's no point.
And thrift shopping is your best friend if you're a cosplayer on a budget.
Absolutely. And also, there are some really good makers on Etsy and eBay that aren't greedy. You know,
No.
they'll sell you some pretty decent stuff at a decent price.
Oh, and plus
just-
they do, and plus a good chunk of Etsy builders do payment plans.
oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, biggest advice: have fun with it. Don't listen, like you know, AJ was saying, you're never too old.
Mm-mm.
There's no reason not to do this. If you're
And-
a kid at heart and you've got a love, just express it. It's a form of art.
And
That's
if
how
you're-
I like to think of it.
And if your kids say you're too old, just ignore them.
Yeah.
Well, if you're too old, then you know, well, hey, that's what you get prosthetics for, you know.
Oh yeah.
Or you can be the world's oldest geriatric Spider-Man or something. But just
Yeah.
See Spider-Man in a walker, just trying
or
to shoot a
John
web.
Hammond, you know, Jurassic Park, right there. There you go.
Oh
He
man,
was
Oh,
the
yeah,
guy.
absolutely.
Right into that stuff. Yeah.
Well,
I want John Hammond's cane. So bad.
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's for everyone.
Oh yeah.
And-
No, I like I said, I've seen cosplayers, you know, in their 70s, 60s cosplaying as anime characters who are that old, or cosplaying
yeah.
characters that aren't old, but they be like they're, you know, unless they say specifically I'm a cosplaying as an older version of this character, just assume that they're just cosplaying that character and they're not like aged or anything.
Well, I'm not being funny. Look at Harrison Ford now; he's still doing it. And what is he, like 70 something?
Oh,
I
at least.
thought he was 90.
Yeah. So hey, man, you know what I mean? You can be old Indiana Jones. You know,
Yeah.
You know, Kingdom of the Crystal Walker. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
there
mean,
you go.
look at David Webb and all the many faces he's played, you
Oh
know?
man.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
You're I mean, yeah, look at these actors. They're like playing as your favorite characters. They're not technically cosplaying, but you know, you're never too old.
Oh, absolutely.
Same question for you, Brian. Any
Yeah.
advice? What advice would you like to give for those cosplayers who are young or old and they're just wanted to get into it?
You know, before I answer that, one thing that we almost touched on, and you just made me think about it again, was the grief of being an older cosplayer and how that the diversity seems to work. Like people like, what are you doing cosplaying a younger person, blah, blah, blah. And that seems to be a bigger issue than a younger person cosplaying Old Man Logan or John Hammond or somebody that's well advanced. Why is that okay? But the reverse doesn't seem to be, is kind of
mean,
dichotomous to me.
You're 48 and you and I have to say it was a really well done Spider-Man PS4 and he's like 20 something in that game.
Yeah. But nobody knows what I am underneath that.
No.
But I'm just talking about the obvious ones. Why does it seem to be okay the one direction, but not so much the other? Like, why is it okay to cosplay much older? Yeah, it's
Because I
kind of
know
weird.
some people feel like, oh, you shouldn't be you're how old? You're cosplaying that character? Shouldn't you be cosplaying someone your own age? Well, here's the thing. There's not a whole lot of fictional characters that are, you know.
Yeah, but then if
that
you go
age.
the other way, like as
Oh,
Gandalf
yeah, no,
or somebody
I-
like that, okay, I'm 1,000 years old. That's okay, but going the other direction. Yeah, like I said, it's just kind of a weird
and here's the thing. These characters are all fictional. Is the thing.
Mhm.
There are some people who will cosplay characters, you know, that are based off real people.
Yeah.
But it's just like you got to know it's all in good fun, you know. Just
It should be.
just you know, as long as you're enjoying it and as long as you're being respectful to others, and yeah, no.
Yeah, like I said, I just think it's funny that you know, because AJ had mentioned it, and then Ben and I touched on it somewhat, where you kind of get some weird looks for going the one direction, but the other seems to be perfectly acceptable. I don't know. I haven't run into that personally, but I've heard stuff in regards to that. And as far as advice, I'm right there with Ben. Have fun, own it, enjoy it. Who cares how it looks? I know people do get intimidated really easily by seeing what my stuff might look like, or what Ben's does, or our collection and crap like that. And it's like, look, you know, that took a long freaking time to get to that point. And I'm still never happy with what I build.
No,
You
you're
know,
always learning something new because there's some new pieces.
You better be. I'm learning
there's-
how to solder. I still stuck at soldering. I've got, you know, multiple solder kits, and I'm just trying to find, there's no magic answer other than doing it. But you're never too old to learn something new.
No.
Just enjoy it.
It's what
And-
it's what we talked about in the cosplay veterans. Like,
Yeah.
there's always some kind of new. I mean, I'm sure one of these days they'll build like a big like 3D, like a big cosplay builder where you just press some buttons and it'll sew like it'll sew like the full costume or make the whole costume. You just have to put in your height, weight, measurements, all that stuff, and it just builds a cosplay for you. I mean,
as cool as that sounds, I hope not in some regards, because there's still a lot of fun in building this stuff. But I know what you're saying. Yeah,
Oh,
I
no,
mean, the
I-
technology is going to outpace itself at some point, and it's going to be
no,
wow.
I get it, and
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that could be super expensive.
Yo,
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the holodeck. That's what I want.
Oh,
Come on, man. Let's invent the holodeck. That's
The
what I want.
holodeck. Wait,
force
what's-
fields and laser beams. That's what they say it was made from. That's it. That's all I could ever find tech data wise on it.
Yeah, no,
All right, that would be the death of me. You guys,
Yeah.
if somebody invented a holodeck, I would never leave it.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, like I said, just own it, enjoy it, have fun. There's no wrong way. It's all right. You know what I mean? I
No,
just
no.
I can't ever reiterate that enough on a lot of this stuff, but it can be intimidating. And I think one of the big things that
Oh, holodeck. God, from Star Trek. God, I'm
Yeah, yep.
my age is.
You had to
showing.
look that up.
Yeah, I had to look it up. Okay.
Oh God.
Oh, that's shameful.
Yes, that's it. Disconnect, son of a bitch. But
unsubscribe.
yeah, unsubscribe. I'm telling everybody to ignore it. But you know what? One of the things that I don't know if we really touched on much before too is try not to compare yourself to others.
No,
It's hard not to.
don't be like a newbie cosplayer and compare yourself to like
Yeah,
Yaya
you-
Han, Kamuya
yeah,
cosplay,
you can't.
Mole cosplay. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, they earned. I mean,
Yeah,
some of those,
But it's tough
some of-
walking in new, not to like, oh, this
some-
doesn't look as good as that. Like as
some of
cool as my
these-
Ghostbuster is, Ben's is light years ahead of mine. I'll guarantee it in a heartbeat.
some of these cosplayers who've been doing it for a long time and actually gained that status, they had to start, you
Yeah.
know, somewhere eventually. But some of those, I mean, there's like well-known cosplayers my age to where they were they they were introduced to this newer stuff, you know.
Yeah, but just enjoy it, own it, have fun. Try not to put yourself down, learn from your mistakes because you are going to make them. And if you're not, you're doing something wrong. That's about the only wrong part of it besides not having fun is that you're not making mistakes. Because I don't know of anybody that's done their first build perfectly. I
can't think of any from the people I've talked to over the past year of doing this series. Everyone's had their mistakes. You know, I've heard stories of where a wig didn't fit properly. You know, their cosplay had ripped, torn after a photo shoot.
didn't realize scale and something 4 feet tall that should have only been this tall. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
like there's you're always you can be the world's best cosplayer, whatever, whether you have someone commission it, even commissioners. I'm sure there are times where
Yeah.
some like people who've commissioned, I'm sure there have been times where you've commissioned cosplays, people have commissioned you to do cosplays and you've gone like through 4 or 5 different shepherd legs or whatever.
That Star Killer I did forget. I had to redo the shoulders a few times. But yeah, that's see, that's the thing. That happens. Not a lot of people talk about the mistakes or show them. It's everybody's comparing it or not enjoying it because it doesn't look as good as the end result of somebody that's been doing it for a while. And that's what I would have to say. It's just like Ben said, man, enjoy it, have fun, because if you're not, what's the point? You know, short and sweet on that one. Everything else just comes along with it.
I wholeheartedly agree. Well, I think that should about do it. We're almost 2 hours into.
Wow,
to this.
jeez, again. Wayne,
Oh,
you never
no.
shut the hell up, man. What the hell? No.
Hey.
We spent half an hour looking up what a holodeck was.
Which that's
I know.
I can't do it because
Yeah,
this is like this isn't geeking out where I can like put a middle finger up or something. I can,
that's
I can just
shameful.
blur it out.
Yeah,
if I
that
want
is
to.
bad.
Anyway, thank you guys again for coming on and talking about, you know, what it's like being a cosplay over 40. I'm looking forward to doing more of these later down the road. And again, these podcast panels always give new ideas of what kind of segment to do next.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
again, Ben, thank you for coming on for the first time. AJ, thank you for coming on for the first time. And Brian, thank you for coming on the third time. Well,
Yeah.
once your podcast is up and everything, this will be your third appearance. So it's always nice to have recurring guests come
No,
back.
it's a blast.
Well, I look forward to coming back. Just keep me in touch.
Oh, I will, because the later down the road, once I get all the regular cosplayer interviews done by October, I will be doing more cosplayer interviews. So, you know, I always, if you know, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm Win the Unknown. Thank you for listening to this episode of Cosplay Con Talk. I'm once again joined by Brian, AJ, and Ben. As always, thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching.